Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Galaxy News Podcast. And today we are going to be talking about Bethesda and what kind of a role that they will play this year at E3. I have my co-host King Fanman here. King, how the heck are you today?
I am awesome as always. How you doing, Mr. Joe?
I'm doing pretty good. Today is the day. I'm not sure when this podcast will be up, but today is the day where we have learned that Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed till September. It was originally slated for an April release. Now it's slated for a September release, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with companies delaying games. If they need to iron things out and if they want to improve in any way that they possibly can, then just do it. I'm completely fine with it. I don't know how you feel about delays. They're disappointing. Don't get me wrong.
This has
But
been the year of delays, though. We've
Final
had
Fantasy as well. That was
Final
delayed.
Fantasy,
Yeah.
Doom.
Yeah.
You've had Wastelanders. Resident Evil remake was delayed as well.
Mm.
But why all these delays? Maybe because you've had a lot of companies make some mistakes or release some things that they shouldn't have released. Maybe.
Yeah. I think that's huge. And CD Projekt Red said it best. They want this to be their crowning achievement. They want this to be the best thing they've ever created. And they use this slogan, it'll come out when it's ready. They said that time and time again, and they're really sticking by that. They really are, because they delayed the game, and they feel that in April it wouldn't have been the best game that they could have possibly made it. And that's okay. I wonder now if you're going to see more from CD Projekt Red at E3. I wonder now if all of a sudden they're going to show the game off even more
I was
at
about to
E3
say,
now.
do you think, and I keep interrupting you, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Do you think fall releases are typically better than a spring release as
Yeah,
far?
because
I
of
do
the
too.
money. It's the holiday season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Little Billy, right? Billy, who's 19 years old. He's a sophomore in college, freshman in college. He doesn't have a job. I mean, if he does, he works for 10 hours a week at McDonald's. He doesn't really have any money. So Billy can't afford to get during the year Cyberpunk. But when you're releasing the game more towards the holidays and Billy can say, hey, I want this for Christmas. You could do that whenever. That was a horrible analogy, and I apologize. But my point is, it's just I feel like that's more your bang for your buck at that
Absolutely.
time during the holiday season.
You advertise at E3 and you
Yeah.
sell it, yep, at Christmas.
And the hype, bam, it just explodes because everybody's spending their money. Billy might not want to spend his money in the middle of the year, but towards the end of the year, maybe Billy's mom will spend it on him. That's the whole. And why would Billy want to wait? Maybe if Billy waits, and who the heck is Billy? I'm sorry for your name is Billy, but that's just it's a huge difference. It's huge.
But the elephant in the room is Fallout 4 and Witcher went head to head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The Witcher 3 released in May 2015, and then 4 released in November 2015.
So now we're going to have Cyberpunk in September and
And potentially,
probably Starfield in November.
definitely, we could definitely see that. That's 100% a possibility.
Yeah, 2 months apart.
Yeah, that just makes it more that Bethesda really, if that's what, listen, there's been no concrete evidence that we're getting Starfield in this year. There hasn't been, so it might be a little unfair to say, oh, they're going head to head until we get that concrete release date, and it's like, oh boy, they're going head to head.
If we haven't gotten concrete, we've gotten some asphalt though. I mean,
So yeah,
we,
so
it's really looking like it.
and I've been saying this all along, Starfield 2020.
Yep.
But the thing is now, what we do know is this: Cyberpunk is going to be amazing because, like I've said, they will. The reason why they delayed it because they want it to be the best it could be, and CD Projekt Red is great at what they do. But don't forget, so is BGS. I don't care what anybody says about 76. It might have had its lows, but like we've mentioned before, the BGS has really never made a bad game. They don't have that in their arsenal to make a bad game. So with that being said, if we do get a reveal for Starfield this year at E3, and then we get a fall release date, and they do go head to head with Cyberpunk, what does that tell you, King? What does that tell you if Bethesda's willing to go head to head with Cyberpunk?
Then they're confident in Starfield.
They're 100% confident in Starfield. And in my opinion, that's really, really scary. You don't want to mess with a BGS game, especially when they're 100% confident in it. That's just my opinion. I know 76 had its ups and had its downs. And I know the most of you who watch my stuff might not be big fans of the game. I do like the game a lot. I love the game. But the fact of the matter is, if Bethesda really feels that Starfield is ready, and this is very important, Starfield's important. If they feel that Starfield is ready and they come out with it in November, that speaks volumes because that means they're willing to go head to head with Cyberpunk 2077, and that's huge. That's huge. What do you think about all that, King?
Well, talking about the Cyberpunk issue, even if they had not delayed, they would still be competing with
Of course, yeah.
Cyberpunk for the game of the year. And
Mm-hmm.
looking how BGS's games line up, they normally release one big one in the spring, one big one in the fall, and of course we know that Doom is coming out. Uh, is it coming out next month? Isn't it
It's coming out in
March?
March.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we know Doom's coming out this spring. It just sets up just perfectly for Starfield coming out this fall. So BGS looking for a big year this year, and I think they were already very confident anyway, knowing they were going to go head to head for Game of the Year against Cyberpunk. They've
For
known it all
sure.
along.
Yeah, for sure. I just feel like if they don't delay it, if they don't delay Starfield and say spring 2021, or if at E3 this year they say spring 2021, if that doesn't happen and if they say fall 2020, that, like I said, that speaks
Yes.
volumes about how confident they are in this game. Because if they don't take now, we talked about this, and I've said it that 76 does need to. It should have been delayed.
Yeah,
It had
I
a
believe
rough
so.
launch. So with that being said, they're not going to mess up again. That was their first online title, but they're not going to mess up like that. So with that being said, if Todd Howard comes out on stage and says November 2020, you're getting your hands on Starfield. If that's what happens, we're getting a great game without a shadow of a doubt. We're getting a great game. And it's going to be really cool too when we get this game. And this kind of going off topic here, but this is a brand new IP, brand new universe. We don't know anything about this. We don't know
No.
anything about it. Even years and years ago, when Fallout, when they purchased Fallout, at least people knew, the fans knew what they were dealing with. We
Yes.
don't know what we're dealing with. We have absolutely no idea. That's what makes it a lot of fun. And I feel that's why Todd Howard is so into this. I feel that's why this was, his passion project, because he could now create a universe that's his own and that's their
Yes.
own, the first since Elder Scrolls. So this is huge, and this game is going to be huge. It's going to make such an impact. I know your feelings on that, but the game is going to be huge. And if Starfield this year, if, like I've said a million times in this video, if they reveal it this year at E3 for 2020, they are incredibly confident that they could go head to head with Cyberpunk
Oh,
without a
absolutely.
shadow of a doubt.
Absolutely. We just did the podcast on Starfield and a lot of the details, and you were just hitting on something, but we were talking about in the podcast on my channel about wondering what the overall niche would be. Fallout has the 50s, and that what Fallout feel is.
Yeah.
When you see the Vault Boy that that's Fallout, and what is it that's going to be Starfield? And you were just hitting on it. Uh, all of the lore that Elder Scrolls has, and all of the lore that Fallout had, they got to start from scratch
Mm-hmm.
with Starfield,
Mm-hmm.
and BGS loves that kind of stuff, and they're so good at lore,
They're excellent. Yeah.
and they got to start from scratch with a whole universe. I cannot wait to learn about the lore of Starfield.
Oh yeah, they do a great job, and I know they have gotten a lot of flack with Fallout lore and the series not being lore friendly, and even taking it on the East Coast when they did years and years ago. They got a lot for that too, so that wasn't fun. But uh, they do a great job at
Oh, they
at
do.
at
Absolutely.
at all that stuff with lore, and I feel even though their quests in their games, like the main quest lines in Fallout 4 was okay, 3 it was okay, but everything else around those games are amazing. The side quests are great. The the notes, the terminals. That's what I don't understand about 76, why people don't like it, because that's what you're essentially doing. You're picking up notes, you're looking through terminals, you're figuring holotapes, you're figuring out the story that way. In Fallout 4, there was a quest where we listen and you listen to it through holotapes. I think it had to deal with Nick Valentine. That
Hmm.
was an awesome quest. And it's like, man, but that's what 76 is,
Right.
So I don't understand why people just can't grasp that, grasp that. So I don't know, but like you said, Starfield will be its own thing, and hopefully, and Bethesda is great at creating lore, and I'm excited to see what they, and now, like, Fallout takes place in the 50s. I wonder what timeline Starfield will take place in. That's if it's based on real world stuff. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm guessing it's going to be real world, and I'm guessing, I think, and my memory's not great, but I believe Todd said that it's going to be our timeline, but slightly in the future.
Wow,
Now,
that's
now,
awesome.
did I just dream that, or uh,
I don't know. I don't remember hearing that. Maybe you
yeah,
did. Maybe you didn't.
I think that came from E3 and the Elon Musk interview. I'll have to go
Okay.
back and look at it.
Yeah, me
But
too.
yeah, I believe he said it's our timeline, but slightly in the future.
Our timeline slightly. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So instead of that old timey feel that Fallout has, maybe it'll bring more of a new and shiny feel.
Yeah,
That's
futuristic a
Starfield.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, futuristic.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful choice of words there.
Yes.
But really, really quick, King, really quick. We're in the middle of the podcast, and this is where I want to do a couple of things here, just get some business out of the way. We both have Patreons, and they help immensely,
Oh, yes.
immensely. King has one. King, want to talk about it really quick?
Oh, absolutely. My Patreons, as I said last week, are truly the only thing that keeps me on YouTube. It really is. I love my Patreons to death. They are my partners, and I try to do a lot for them. I have behind the scenes stuff on my Patreon page, but they are partners with me, and they keep me on YouTube. I just want to say a huge thank you to my Patreons.
Yeah, it's you guys are a great help. A few of you know who you are. You guys are a great help to us. You're a blessing, and if that's your thing, check us out. For me, $1 is fine. You know, $1 that goes a long way. It goes a really long way, guys, more than you know. So $1 a month, that's it. I have some exclusive content as well that I will be putting up as early as this Sunday. So be on the lookout for that if the Patreon is your thing. If it isn't, it's totally cool. It's fine. But you guys help out tremendously, and we're very blessed to have you. So with that being said, let's continue talking about Starfield. And now we just heard recently, well, today, that Cyberpunk 2077 got delayed, and that's okay. For me, that's fine. I mean, I made a video on that. Check that out. The link to that will be down in the description below. But do you feel the Starfield release date will be affected by this whatsoever? I know we kind of touched upon this a little earlier, but do you think if now Bethesda, we don't have a hard release date for Starfield, but do you think that Bethesda will push it back? Let's just say they're the only ones who know that Starfield is coming out 2020. Do you think now internally they're gonna push it back?
Well, I know you're asking me, and I'm going to ask you a question right off.
Okay.
I'm going to throw it right back at you.
Oh, jeez,
Uh,
hot potato, hot
yeah,
potato.
I know you asked off the bat, why are all the delays? Wastelanders was delayed, Doom, and now, of course, Cyberpunk. But within Bethesda, Wastelanders and Doom, uh, why? Why do you think within Bethesda itself are all these games being delayed? And does that mean anything for Starfield? And of course, that goes directly to that question.
I think 76 is the
Are,
reason.
are they just being overly careful?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I don't know, overly careful. I don't know if I would say overly careful, but they're being careful, and rightfully so. They got a lot of baloney for 76. They
Yeah,
got a lot of it, a ton. So of course they're going to be careful. They don't want the same thing to happen to Doom. Doom is such a beloved game. People love Doom. And
yeah,
imagine if you release a mess. They don't want that. So they want to iron things out to as best as possible. And Wastelanders, which 76 is kind of depending on it right
yeah.
now.
We understand why it has to be great.
Yeah, so it's just that's the reason. And if, like I said earlier, and I know I'm beating a dead horse, but at this point, but if Bethesda comes out on stage, if Toddy Howard comes out on stage, yes, I said Toddy Howard, if he comes out and he says, guys, you're getting Starfield, you son of a guns, you're getting it this year. That means the man is confident that this game is going to be great. And if we don't get Starfield this year, it is what it is. What
So,
can you
so,
do?
so you're okay if it's 2021?
Starfield?
Yeah.
They got to make it good. I can't selfishly say I want this game, because if it's a pile of manure, it's not going to work. People are going to hate it. People are going to trash them, especially going head to head with Cyberpunk. So if this game stinks, then you know that's not a
Well,
that's not good.
yeah, I'll say the same thing I said with Doom. I'll say the same thing with Wastelanders. Take your time, get it right. If it's spring of 2021, if it's fall of 2021, get it right, get it done whenever it is. I personally think it's going to be a fall release. I think their main games, they like to do them in the fall.
Yeah.
In fact, I cannot remember and I'm not saying there's not one, but I cannot remember a main BGS game that was a spring release right off the top of my head. Most of them have been fall releases. They like to do them in the fall. I cannot see them doing Starfield in the spring. I believe it's going to be a fall release. So, but get it right.
Yeah. They have to. They like you said, it's for them to release one their home run hitter, and BGS is their home run hitter.
Yeah.
For them to do that and have them hit lead off and start off the year, he gotta hit them clean up. You know what I mean? They gotta knock it out of the park, and you can't. I don't think a spring release would be smart at all. I
No.
just think if it's not a fall release, I'm hoping it's a spring release because
Yeah.
we get it sooner. but
And
but
and
you made a great point. Spring
and
isn't
let's
smart.
let's be honest, and I'm not being overly dramatic here. I believe Starfield's going to be a huge success, but if it's not, Bethesda's in trouble.
This is what I think what would happen. Let's have a little scenario here, King. Okay, I'll give you mine, but you give me yours first if you have one.
Okay.
Starfield's a flop. What happens? Go.
If Starfield's a flop, I'm not saying Bethesda goes under, but if Starfield is a complete, utter flop, uh, they go into overdrive on Elder Scrolls 6, and it's their last hope. Uh,
I I don't even think that happens. Let me tell you what I think. You're going to be like, Joe, what are you smoking? For the record, King, I never smoked a day in my life. All right, this is my scenario if Starfield goes under. Like I said, you're going to think I'm on something, but I'm not. If Starfield goes under, now, you know Bethesda has a good relationship with Microsoft, right?
yes.
I wouldn't be shocked if they come up with a deal to say, hey, listen, can Obsidian work on a Fallout game, please?
No.
Obsidian works on a Fallout game, right? They have Bethesda's resources. They outsource Fallout. Then a year or two, come out with a new Fallout game, but make it amazing. Why? That is something that people would absolutely go crazy for. That would make a ton of money. Imagine if they did that. Do you know how many people would if they saw Obsidian's name connected to a Fallout game? Do you know how many people would pre-order that title immediately?
Joe.
A single player Fallout game. Now, King, I'm not saying this is gonna happen, King. We came up with some fantasy that Starfield's gonna stink and they gotta do something. You know, that's what we came up with here. So I'm telling you this, and I'm not under the influence of anything. It's I think that would be a very interesting scenario.
Oh, that would be great.
If God forbid Starfield stunk.
We've already said they need to hire us in marketing, but
yeah. So I don't know. Take that with that itty bitty idiot's grain of salt you possibly can. But I feel that would be insane.
But let me flip it on its head.
Oh jeez, don't crack its head open.
As I said before, and I'm going way out on a limb, I truly believe Starfield will be as big as Skyrim was.
The only reason why, King, it's not that I disagree. It's not that I think you're wrong. That's not it. I think that Elder Scroll that Starfield rather Elder Scrolls. I was right. I think that Elder Scrolls is, and especially Skyrim, is just on another planet when it comes to these other games, when it comes to popularity.
Another planet, I got that.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think that's what I think, and Skyrim was just such a huge monumental success.
I think that's what Starfield's going to be.
It's just to put that it's just like saying, hey,
I know, I'm not putting the pressure on
it. It's just like saying this young 19-year-old baseball player is the next Babe Ruth.
I know.
That's a heck of a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure. I know it.
But do I think it has that potential? 110%. Of course it does. It's a BGS game. I think any game that they make has that potential, and especially if you listen to the criticisms of their previous games, I think they're taking that in with Starfield. They're just gonna knock it out of the park. I don't see a scenario where Starfield isn't a success.
I was about to say, look what BGS Maryland, take 76 off the plate. Look what Maryland did from Morrowind all the way through Fallout 4. Every one of them was Game of the Year, over the top.
They never put out a bad game. Not one of those games are bad. You pick any of those games up, you will have a good time. Not one of those games. Glitchy, sure, but does glitchy make a game bad? Absolutely not.
Not only that, they were revolutionary. They changed gaming. They every one of them outsold the other one. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
yeah,
That's insane. The first week of Skyrim's release, they made $450 million. Within the first 24 hours of Fallout 4, they made $750 million.
isn't that
That is
crazy?
that is crazy. That
That is
is
crazy.
nuts. I can't believe. I mean, I could believe it now, but that just goes to show you that you know how good they are at what they do.
Exactly.
And regardless of what anybody thinks of 76, Bethesda's excellent. BGS is excellent at what they do, and you can't count them out. It's almost like if you're losing in the bottom of the ninth inning, they need to come up big here. They will with Starfield. They will
Well,
come up huge. It's just the one thing that angers me, King. The one thing that angers me, and you love 76, and I do too. I would use that word when it comes to 76. But let's just say, okay, this was their worst game, right? Um they made 5 out of 6 great games. And this wasn't even a bad game. 76
mhm,
isn't even a bad game. So they never put out a bad game. What makes you think that with Starfield that it's going to be bad? I think it's going to be better than, you know, than this might be their best launch title ever.
exactly. And again, I have to remind you, and I know you know this, that it's not Maryland that put out 76.
Yeah.
And of course, it's a multiplayer game, different engine, totally different animal. So
Yeah.
when somebody says, "What about 76?" Totally different thing. It was put out by a different studio. It's a different engine, totally different type game.
Yeah, it's just it's different. You can't compare it to Fallout 4. You can't compare it to Skyrim. You can't compare it
No,
to anything. That's unfair. The closest game that you could even compare it to isn't even a BGS game. So you
that's right.
literally have nothing to compare this game to. That would be unfair. The only way you can compare this game to Fallout 4 or to Skyrim is when Wastelanders come out, because that's when it makes the games a little more similar. But even then,
Yeah.
it still might be unfair.
Still different studio, different engine.
Yeah, everything. So
Very,
King,
very quick,
yeah,
and I know
yeah,
you're trying to shut it down, and I'm
yeah.
starting a whole new subject.
Oh
What
boy,
what do you think about
maybe for next
Cyberpunk?
week. About what? About
What do
being
you
delayed?
know about the game itself? Are you excited?
Oh my gosh, I can't wait for the game.
I've already got it pre-ordered.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it months and months ago on Amazon.com. It's sitting in my cart, and I pre-ordered it for $50
Well,
on
what are you
Amazon.com.
going to play then? Starfield comes out in November. Cyberpunk comes out in September. What are you going to be playing?
And I was just gonna say a really smart remark, but I'm gonna be serious. For me, with the Outer Worlds, what happened with that? I played the game when it came out, and I played it like in 2 days. I think I played 9 hours a day in 2 days. I'm not even exaggerating.
Yeah,
Then Fallout's my favorite game of all time. It's my favorite series. I'm a fan of 76. I gotta admit, they released Private Worlds around the same time as Outer Worlds. I got hooked up with a Fallout First membership, and then I just played the living heck out of 76 within the Private Worlds. So what I'm saying is, when there's a BGS game on the way,
you'll put
that
it down.
takes
Yeah,
precedent over any other game.
I agree.
I don't care. So it's if that happens, then I'll try and play as much of Cyberpunk as I possibly can.
Until
But
November.
King, you're talking about a BGS game. They're my favorite studio, regardless of what anybody says. They take precedent over anything when it
So
comes
we're
to video
so
games.
we're gonna play Cyberpunk from September until November the 11th, about
100%,
as
yeah.
hard as we can. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
that's the thing. That's I'm not even kidding though. Like
I agree.
that's what's gonna happen.
Yep.
So,
So
all
we're
right,
gonna have
King.
no time for video or podcast.
Oh no, this is technically our jobs, King. We gotta show up to work, right?
Well,
Right?
isn't it about video games though?
Yeah, I guess. I suppose.
Yeah. Okay.
We still have to show up to work, though. All right, everyone. That about wraps this up here. Another episode of the Galaxy News Podcast. We thank you for watching. King, you're wonderful. I love you, man. Thank you for coming on, as
Love you too,
always. And we had a great show. If you guys haven't subscribed to King's channel for whatever reason, please do so. If you haven't subscribed to my channel for whatever reason, please do so. Check out our Patreons. The links to those will be down in the description below. This was, like I said, another episode of the Galaxy News Podcast. This is Joe with King Fan Man signing out.